You're listening to the Before You Market podcast. In a world of endless tactics and fleeting trends, we're here to show you why putting your brand first changes everything. Join us as we explore how a brand-first strategy can revolutionize your marketing. Get ready to rethink marketing. This is Before You Market.
Hi, everybody. How are you doing? You doing all right? That's great. I would like to welcome you to the Before You Market podcast, where we challenge you to rethink marketing. To help us in this endeavor, we've invited some of the best marketers in the business to enlighten you on your path towards a brand first awakening. Yes, that's what we're doing. I have never met Lindsay before today. So I am especially excited about this because I have no idea how what to expect. So this could all go horribly wrong, and which would be my fault. But that said, Lindsay comes highly recommended by Before You Market guest Katie Robert, who is love me. How do the kids do it? Yeah. Love me some Katie. Katie's awesome. So I have high hopes. No pressure. But Lindsay, please take a moment and introduce yourself to these wonderful people. See how I got away with not pronouncing your last name? Go ahead.
I saw what you did there. Yes, yeah. I've done such things before.
It's Tjepkema.
It is Tjepkema. See, you practiced all that time and then you weren't even going to do it.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, well, I'm Lindsay Tjepkema, and I am a marketer. You had me at, Katie, yes, I do whatever she tells me to do, but right. Also you had me at brand. You had me at brand first. You had me at brand forward conversations, because that's my life. I've spent 20 years in B2B marketing, always on the brand, content, thought leadership, storytelling side of things. I led a company actually helping marketers do that called Casted. It was a podcast and video marketing platform for B2B marketers. Left that a few months ago and doubled down on actually getting one-to-one with marketing teams and founders to help them share their stories in ways that'll help them grow their businesses. And you have a prop with your shirt. I have a prop with my mug, because I have a show called Actually I Can.
Love it.
And we tell founder stories. In short.
Oh, that's cool. That's great. Yeah, we'll put a link. We'll put a link in the show notes.
I like
that's
it.
Great.
Yeah.
So Lindsay is, obviously, I think we've established that she's our kind of people here at Brand 3. We think of her already as a kindred spirit. And she is what I like to call a brand whisperer. Whenever I call my boss a brand whisperer,
adds to LinkedIn profile.
Yeah. My boss, I always call her that. And then she goes, I love it. I get that reaction every time. It's fantastic. Anyway, we love talking brand, clearly. So, Lindsay, are you ready to get brand deep?
I'm always ready.
Let's do this. All right. Awesome. So, right square on the front page of your website, it says, and I'm going to read it, human brands are those that are brave enough to reject and purposefully forego the harmful belief that the latest algorithm, growth hack, tech tool, influencer, or formula will be the easy button to success. Isn't it easier to stop obsessing about these things? Why do you think more brands don't follow this path? I don't get it. What am I missing?
Fear.
Okay.
And scarcity. I'll elaborate. So
I was going to let that marinate for
the
a second.
end.
Yes, please.
It's November. I'm not going to get political, because if you're a human being, regardless of what your beliefs are, it's a freaky, scary fear and scarcity time. And we're all living in it all the time, but especially now. And when fear and scarcity are present, especially when fear and scarcity are high, creativity, safety goes away. Creativity goes away. The prioritizing human connection goes away. And when those things are gone, we're all scrambling for, how do I do this? How do I find the results? How do I do what I need to do? How do I make it happen? And that's when the fear mongering comes in of like, oh, well, you just need this silver bullet. You just need to follow my framework. You just need to do this thing that I've already proven. Never mind that it benefits me to sell you this thing. So fear and scarcity, you can see in our own lives personally, you can see in the world, but it happens in marketing. It happens in B2B marketing and brand building all the time. People get scared and they don't get, and the bravery and the courage to do something new goes out the window.
I agree 100%. And I think that personally, I think that they should be more afraid of losing that human connection with their target audience and losing trust. And in a recent Forbes article, and Lindsay has got some wonderful articles on Forbes I highly recommend. But in a recent Forbes article, you cited a PricewaterhouseCoopers stat that says 71% of consumers are apt to turn away from companies that lose their trust. Frankly, I'm surprised that that number is not higher, but that's still pretty high. So even with things like, Google Eat and everyone preaching trust, the importance of trust, I worry that too many small companies miss that point when it comes to their marketing efforts. And so I would like to have you share your advice with them to get them to rethink their approach as it relates to building trust, because I think this is one of the most important things in marketing that's being often overlooked.
In marketing, and actually, dare I say, in business in general. I mean,
you dare, and
I dare. I do dare. So it can. Again, I'm going to say the word fear so much because that's what it all comes down to. It's your fear of not hitting your numbers, fear of missing payroll, real fears. I get it. I've not only led marketing, I've led a business. I've led multiple businesses. Like, fear is real. And so we look short term. We look at the right now. How am I going to generate leads now? How am I going to build pipeline now? How am I going to convert customers now? And that's when the follow this process, buy this tool, hire this person, bring in this consultant, do this thing to generate results right now gets really, really tempting. It's very, very appealing because it feels like this is just what I need, right? And so you get short-sighted. But like you said, that comes at a cost. And that cost is usually the long-term vision. Like, one thing I talk about is what do the decisions that you make now do to your brand equity, your relationship equity over time? How is it going to impact how the people who want to trust you today will or will not trust you tomorrow? How does it affect your positioning in the market and how people feel about your brand tomorrow, 3 years from now, 5 years from now? If you borrow that equity, that long-term equity to maybe get a payoff today,
right?
What's that going to do? And I think it's that courage to rise above the fear and the scarcity and to believe that, the long-term way of thinking is truly what's not only going to make you get through today, but survive in the long run.
Can you talk a little bit more about brand equity? Because I feel like maybe a lot of business owners out there, marketers should understand what that term means, but I feel like that's a term that marketers throw around, but that maybe business owners don't quite understand. And it's an important concept to embrace and understand. So I wonder if you could maybe kind of like talk about it from a layperson's standpoint.
Yeah, I think to me, in short, it's long-term thinking. As it relates to your brand. And the shiny object syndrome of like, should we be doing what our competitors doing this? Our competitors on TikTok, and did you see that they're doing these YouTube shorts? And should we do an offer? Should we drop our pricing? Like, should we partner with these people? Like, all of these should. Thinking short term, again, is kind of everything I just talked about. It's like, sure, that might feel good today if it solves a problem today, but when we talk about brand equity, it's just thinking long term. Is how does this get us closer to or farther from where we're trying to be 10 years from now. An exercise that I like to do in person, like when I'm speaking, is so imagine, if you will, like that we're in the same room. And I'm like, okay, John, stand next to me and take a step in any direction. Like, go ahead and do that. And it's like, okay, do that again. And you do that a couple of times and you acknowledge the fact that you're either getting closer to or farther from me, right? There is no way to be neutral. If you're moving in any direction, you're either getting closer to or farther from something. And so every single decision you make, every blog post, every, TikTok post, every price change, everything you do gets you closer to or farther from that brand that you're trying to be and that human-centeredness that you're trying to achieve long-term.
I love that. That is such a great exercise, and I'm totally going to steal it, and I may or may not give you credit for it. It just depends on whether or not I feel like
how the rest of this interview goes. Like,
No, I was thinking more in terms of the last name, and
I'm totally okay with just being known as Lindsay. So you can just be like,
cool.
Lindsay
Tjepkema.
Yeah.
Got it.
Hey,
see, I got
it's a nice ring.
So, in that same Forbes article, you give some great advice regarding the content you create for a drip campaign. And you say to write like you talk, which I love. I love this advice. And I think it's far too easy for brands to get lost in the tech and forget about being human. So, obviously you agree, but I wonder, how should brands prioritize leading with their humanity instead of tools and tactics when they're faced with all this like tech decision that they have to make and drip campaigns and automation and
So you have to take a hot second. You have to, and it keeps coming back to this: don't let fear and scarcity consume you. Like, you have to at least create some sense of safety so that you can hold space for thinking, for strategy, for creativity. And so you have to think about, okay, who is this for and why are we doing it, right? When you know who you're speaking to and you know what you're trying to achieve, then you can say, okay, well, and then who are we? Like, who are we in this process? Like, you have to know things that so often we as marketers are like, I'm too busy to think about values and mission, vision, values. Those are just things that people put in a poster on the wall. Like,
right.
Yeah, if you're doing it wrong, if you're doing it right, it should be fueling everything you do. And if you are a brand marketer, if you are doing any sort of brand anything for your company, you should have them on your wall, because you should be reminding yourself daily who this is for, why you're doing it, why the heck they should be listening to you and not someone else. And so, to get specifically to your question, brand voice, how do you do it? Why does it matter? If you know who you are, then you're very clear when you're speaking to the people that you're trying to reach. And then you're not speaking in TikTok voice on TikTok and, like, I don't know, some corporate speak on LinkedIn, and you're not being a chameleon. You are authentically showing up as yourself, and you're upholding the values of your brand because they matter. And you're portraying accurately the vision and the differentiators. And that's when we get into some of the, like, value props and like brand positioning and key differentiators. That's where those come from, is who you actually are as a business and what you believe in. Like, those things really, really do matter. And when you are, like, securely founded on what those things are for your business, then, like, your voice, regardless of the channel, it comes a lot more naturally.
Yeah, it's funny, as you're talking, I'm thinking about, so I was a friend of mine, Amber Naslin, was also a guest on the podcast, and we talked about B2B content and why it really doesn't have to be boring. And I'm sitting here thinking, yes, that's exactly what you're talking about. And if you do those things, if you focus on those things you just discussed, it's almost the antidote to boring B2B content.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's, B2B content's not boring. You're boring. Like,
right.
Like, I used to work for an antimicrobial detection company for that made antimicrobial detection machines for like consumer goods.
Fun.
It's pretty boring, right? But when you're able to, again, who is this for? Why are we doing it? We could tell the stories of like contamination events and how that impacted people and how that made people lose jobs and lawsuits and like how those all could have been avoided. Like there's always a story. There's always a story. Always.
Yep. Love it. Love it. Now you mentioned, we talked about B2B content, and you've often stated that podcast and video content are two of the best ways to connect with your audiences on a human level. I might be paraphrasing that a bit, but I think that's a general sentiment. But what do you think is the future of these mediums? And I hate to do it, but AI, what do you see? What role do you see AI playing in this type of content, for better, for worse?
Yeah. So podcast and video, which is kind of becoming synonymous now.
Right.
You should be doing both.
Like, I don't know, this one.
Like this one, right? Capture both, use them in both places. I think it's obvious, like where I think they're going. I've been saying for the last 6 or 7 years now that they're the future of B2B marketing and of brand building. And I think that we're seeing it now. And I don't think that's going to change. It's just going to become even more so. I think that what role, like why and what role does AI play? Okay. So podcast and video in general, helps us achieve human connection in mass, right? At scale. We have a conversation. We get to be silly and goofy and share our strong opinions, or,
I'm
it's
super
in the show
serious all the time. I don't
all
know
100% of the time.
Yes.
And, and the show that I'm doing is telling founder stories in a way that sometimes is really vulnerable and can get really personal and professional. And we get to do that. We get to have these conversations and use them in a way that's really human to connect with other people and build relationships at scale, which is great. And it's what we're trying to do for business. It's how we're trying to build that connective tissue between our brands and our audiences. All good things. If you're not doing it yet, do it. Where AI fits in. There already are the people and the brands that are like, I can use AI to do it instead. And I don't know what the goal is of these individuals. Like, are they literally trying to sit like in a room full of monitors, like sipping coffee? Are they trying to be like Homer Simpson, just literally watching this? I don't know. That's not what I want to do with my life. I want to do more of this. So there's going to be people who mess it up for the rest of us, but where I'm excited about AI and where I'm using AI, and if anybody looks at any of the content that I've produced about AI over the last couple of years, I've been the holdout and the skeptic, because I'm like, do not use AI to do it for you. Do not use AI to replace your creativity. Like, use it to help you be more creative. And I think that we're already seeing such really cool opportunities to help with scheduling and with making interviews like these possible, and helping to make suggestions about the clips that we should pull, and about like, okay, I want to use this interview in all these different ways. Help me make that happen. Propose topic ideas that maybe we should talk through. Do the research on the interviewee so that I can, save a little bit of time there and spend my time conversing with this person, not scouring the interwebs. Like, AI has such a strong place in supporting the creation of really cool, really relevant content, and helping people like you and me who are brand obsessed do more and get a lot more creative. And I just really, really hope that we see people doing that, because that'll be neat.
I agree. And I also think I see it as an opportunity, because, hey, let my competitors go off and use AI to replace their humanity, and the audience is going to look at that and go, well, that's real, and that's not. I'm going to go with real.
Yeah.
So
it's true. That's the differentiator. Like, it's you. Hi. You're the differentiator. It's you. It's if you just stay human.
Yep.
It's you.
Amen. Yes. Agreed. 100%. And so I have one last question, and it is from our fearless leader and our resident brand whisperer, Orshi Herbine, who I love to death. And Orshi asks, I wonder if there is a risk in being too authentic. Can a brand undermine itself by pursuing authenticity too aggressively or inappropriately? Are there any boundaries we should explore when it comes to authenticity? I think she just wanted to force me to say authenticity twice.
Authenticity, or
Authenticity.
Yes, 100%. Like, my best friend, Brene Brown, she doesn't know that I exist, but we are best friends. She talks all the time about authenticity, obviously, and talks about that too, and vulnerability. Like, yes, you absolutely can. I mean, as the face of your company, if you go out in front of everyone and say, we're about to close,
Right.
we're almost out of money, I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm completely overwhelmed, and advice is welcome. Like, don't do that. that's not helpful to anybody. But when you, I mean, one thing that I like to do is talk to the brand leader, talk to the founder, understand their why. Like, why are you here? Why did you start the company? Why are you leading this brand? And then really understand the why of the company. Like, why does it exist? Again, who's it for? Why are you doing it? And pull at some of those threads that sometimes seem auxiliary, that kind of seem out in the corner, and tie in the humanness of, like, there's a person that I work with who's running like a virtual EA company, right? And she's female founder, and in addition to all these areas of expertise that she's really strong in, she's also she's a mom of 3 boys, just like me. And she's really into health and fitness, and she's a big traveler. And so she's like, but I don't think that those things really are relevant. And I was like, they absolutely are. You're running a virtual EA company. You're really into traveling. You have 3 kids. You're a female founder. You're into health and fitness. All of those things are made possible for other people to, like, other people can lean into those areas of life because you're enabling them through virtual EAs to be able to, like, lean into their health and take care of themselves and be, you know, a more involved parent and travel the world. She was like, yeah. So it's weaving in those stories. That's authenticity. It's sharing a broader picture, a more human picture of the why. It's not being vulnerable for vulnerable's sake. Don't think of it as like going out and asking for a cry for help, but to say, hey, we're human. This is why our brand exists. This is why the business exists, to serve other people. And this is kind of a peek behind the curtain as to why.
Yeah, I love that. I think focusing on the why instead of the extreme what is really great advice. So yeah, that's fantastic, man. You know, I think we did okay. I think you know, all in all, I managed not to completely screw this up and let your brilliance shine through. So I really appreciate you coming on here. Everybody, if you want more from Lindsay, go to lindsaytjepkema.com, right? Isn't that yeah. Great stuff on there. She writes on Forbes, as I said. Any final thoughts? Any final things you want to promote? Anything else you'd like to say to these good people?
Brand matters. And actually you can hold space for creativity. And if you want to hear more, come on over to the website and watch the show.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much, everyone. Stay safe and sane out there and have a great day, and bye.
Thanks for listening to Before You Market. Want more insights on revolutionizing your marketing strategy? Visit beforeyoumarket.com for all our episodes, exclusive content, and the Before You Market book. Remember, great marketing starts with a strong brand. We'll see you next time on Before You Market.